Our last topic in Chapter 9 is content-aware scale. So let's open the file that we need for that, which is Girls at the Lake JPEG. And we're going to talk about content-aware scale. We did content-aware fill, which is where it knows or can guess very smartly what should be used to fill a background. Content-aware scale is very smart where it knows how to scale an image disproportionately without distorting the main subject. So how on earth does Photoshop know what's the main subject and what isn't? If we're trying to stretch this out, how does it know not to stretch the girls? Well, there are a lot of different things we can do to get the best possible results, and we're going to work through them next. But basically, content-aware scale tries to scale areas that are void of detail and protect areas of detail. So you can imagine that a face with all this detail would not be stretched, but maybe the rocks or the water or the sky would. So this is what we are going to test, a few different versions of this. So first thing we want to do is duplicate the background layer 4 times, and then we're going to rename them. So over here we're going to do a Command J 4 times. And we're going to start with renaming them. The first one is going to be called normal scale. Whoops, I actually have to double click in there. Normal scale. The next one up, we are going to name content aware scale. The next one up, we are going to name skin protect. And the last one we're going to name alpha protect. And we're going to demonstrate and practice with each of these different layers. All right, so let's just take a peek at this image and see how big it is. Come over here. This is currently, let's just talk inches. This is currently 10 by 6.6 at high res. What if you're working for a magazine and they said, you know what, we need this to be 15 inches wide. We want this to span across the top of both pages in our magazine. And you go, well, can't really do that. It's only 10 inches or whatever. Remember, this is the image size. The canvas is the background that it sits on, and we can always enlarge the canvas, and then we'll have to find a way to enlarge our image as well. So we're going to go into Image, Canvas Size, and we're going to click down the left side to be our anchor proxy, meaning anything that we add to it is going to be pushed out to the right, top and bottom. I have relative showing here. I don't necessarily want that. I don't know. I just want to see the final size. I don't want to think about math right now. So what we want is 15 inches wide. So I'm going to type in a 15, and you can see it's going to push everything to the right. We're keeping our height the same, so there's no need to worry about that. And the background of our canvas color, right now my color chips over here are green and black, so it's using black as a background. I'm just going to want it to be white. And if white is your background, that's what it will show right now. So we're going to say, okay. And when we see this, eventually, there we go. I'm going to zoom out a smidge so you can see the whole document. So if this is what we wanted to do, we could start cloning, patching, healing, water over here, try to recreate this, but oh boy, that would be hard, wouldn't it? Would not be fun. Very time consuming. So let's just try some options here. Let's go down, let's turn off all these layers above except for the normal scale. We're going to leave that one turned on, and we're going to transform it. So Command T to get a free transform, and we're going to drag the right center handle over here, which should not cause your computer to get confused. Whoops, Z. Come on. Just trying to drag this one. Okay, I forget that we're now in that version where everything scales proportionately by default. So I probably have to hold Shift to just get it to go to the right. Yep. The default behavior now is to scale things proportionately. That used to not be the case, but now it is. So now, in order to just scale it to the right, I have to hold down Shift. And there's no reason this should be taking this long. I apologize. When I'm good, I can let go of the Shift, or the mouse and then the Shift, and hit Return Enter and say, okay, here's your 15-inch picture. Everybody happy? And I don't think anybody's happy, certainly not these girls. This is not an acceptable solution of how we make a 15-inch image. So turn that bad boy off. We do not like that. Look at those poor girls. All right, let's go up to the next content aware scale. Let's activate that, make sure the eyeball's on, make sure the one below it is off. And we're going to do an edit and then a content aware scale. So we're going to click on this. And now we're going to click on this right handle again, just like we did before. We're going to start dragging this. And again, I have to hold Shift so that only this one dimension scales. And then we're going to see our result. Whoa, good gravy. That is exactly what was supposed to happen, but I always have to say, oh, good gravy. Click on the OK. So what in tarnation happened here? Based on what I told you a minute or two ago, do you guys have any guesses? The goal here of any content-aware scale is to scale areas that are void of detail and protect those with detail. So quite clearly, her pink shirt didn't have enough detail and it was allowed to stretch. Her face stayed the same. Her face is relatively okay. This arm got a little big, but everything else actually scaled pretty decently. But because it did such a poor job with the girl, it's just not something we can do at all, right? Nice try, but not good. So turn this layer off. Let's go up to Skin Protect, turn that layer on and activate it so that we're just working on this one. We're going to go back to Edit, Content Aware Scale, and up here we have a dialog, or in our option bar we have a Protect None. We can look at this option to the right of it, and it says there's nothing to protect, by the way, but to the right of it, it says Protect Skin Tones. So don't be stretching things that look like skin. We don't want to stretch out people. So click to turn that on. And we are going to do the same process, Shift drag to the right. And let's see, whoops, I let go of my mouse too fast. Come on, sorry. Oh my goodness, look at this, I gotta undo. If my computer weren't so slow, we would not be having these problems. Okay, let's try this again, Brenda. Shift, drag to the right, let go of mouse, then let go of Shift. Okay, hey, that's a lot better, right? Much, much, much better, protecting the skin tones. So a skin protect would be ideal for a photo like this because the girls are dressed for summer, but you can imagine if they had on jackets or something else, the only skin would be their face, so their face would probably stay scaled normally, while maybe their bodies with a jacket would stretch out and it would look really crazy. All right, I gotta say yes to accept that. So far, better, but not the best that we have. Or it's fine for now because of the amount of skin showing, but in a lot of other pictures, this would not work either. So the last version that we want to try, turn off the Skin Protect, select Alpha, get on that layer. The last one is we have to make use of that drop-down box up here that said select. It said none, but we have to give it something to select. So a saved selection, in other words, the elephant that they had saved in that PSD file and allowed us to load in the Puppet Warp demo, that was a saved selection, which is also called an alpha channel. It just means you save something, the marching ants, you save it, you give it a name, and now you can call it up anytime you want, and it's an alpha channel. So We are going to use the quick selection tool to select the girls, including the area between their arms and bodies. So this little gap right here, we're going to want to select as well. So whatever selection tool you want to use, I'm going to try I don't know, maybe the quick selection tool. Let me just try something as long as we're trying this. The object select tool is something fairly new, but if you marquee around the objects, let's see what it does. Provided it doesn't crash my computer. I'm really excited for Photoshop 2021. I'm like ready to jump into that right now, but need to make sure that we're all on the same page, so I'm holding off for a week maybe. Okay, this shouldn't take this long. Okay, not bad at all. Need to fix her hair a little bit, but by and large, this did a great job of selecting the two girls. But we do want to include this area, and I need to fix her hair a little bit. So I'm just going to switch to the lasso tool, and I'm going to add that to my selection, and I'm going to try to add a little bit more of her hair up here to this selection as well. There. You know what? I'm perfectly happy with that. So the quick selection tool, what we've been using in the past, is the one where you drive around with your cursor and keep adding to the selection. That certainly would have worked, but this object, if it stands out and it seems like something separate, like these two girls certainly do, you just marquee around it and let it analyze it and do what I now see as a great job. So we have our two girls selected. Once we've done this, we need to go up to select and then save the selection. This is how they did the elephant thing previously. What's the name we want to call this? Girls. So we're going to name it girls, and we're going to say okay. All right, we haven't really looked at channels much, but if we pop over here to the channels tab, we will see what we've always had: RGB, red, green, and blue channels, the composite channel, and then we do see that channel that's our alpha selection of the girls. Alpha channels don't print, they don't alter an image, they're only used to store selections. So we're ready to go now. We can deselect the marching ants, Command D, and we are going to click on, make sure that we have this layer selected, and we're going to choose Content Aware Scale again. But this time, instead of doing a skin protection, we're going to turn that off, and then we're going to choose girls from this alpha selection that we had previously stored. And then we're going to take this, hold Shift so that we can just pull it to the right, and click. Voila! That did a fantastic job of stretching out the areas that lack detail, but keeping our subject matter unstretched. So that worked really well. So Content Aware Scale. Next video, and the last for this chapter, is Content Aware Move. We can leave this open. Pretty sure we're going to leave this open.